In this video, we will look at the top things to do in Cappadocia, the most fascinating city we have ever visited. We started by waking up before dawn to see the spectacle everyone travels to see while in Cappadocia. It starts with a few hot air balloons flickering in the morning, which in itself is so pretty. But then eventually, a few hot air balloons start rising in the air. Before you know it, close to 100 hot air balloons are scattered throughout the morning sky, traveling wherever a breeze will take them. This is one of two ways to experience the hot air balloon event here in Cappadocia: watching them from a good vantage point, and then also getting in a hot air balloon. But trust me, just watching them is almost as incredible as being in them. There are a few great places to watch the balloons take off. However, I booked a specific cave hotel to see the balloons take off. And yes, I said cave hotel. Why? This specific hotel had, in my opinion, the best view of the whole valley when balloons took off in the morning. In fact, this landscape is also ideal for ATV rides, which is what we did later that evening to both tour the area and watch the sunset. The quads were thrilling, traveling around all the steep rock formations that are just superb and so peculiar. At one point, our tour guide took me on a little joyride that was awesome. These formations are so monumental and you just fly around them, and there is more at every turn. What is interesting about the formations is that they are really hard rock, but at the same time, also kind of soft and fairly easy to carve out. So early civilizations, including some Christian civilizations, would carve into the rocks and make themselves abodes, churches, and other dwellings for themselves. In just a second, you will see they even did this for entire cities. So there is a lot of story around these rocks. In fact, they hardened from volcanic ash called tuff, and that tuff eroded over time, leaving these enormously impressive rocks. So on this ride, we made a few stops where some of the more impressive dwellings and rocks were. Then to end our journey, you make your way to a point where you just watch a stunning sunset. Now, just for a moment, to be real, I am pretty good at making it seem like we are all alone, but actually this sunset was quite the party scene that happens every night. I'm talking hundreds of ATVs, music and wine and everything. So don't be fooled, this part wasn't as personal as the beginning of our private sunset ATV tour. Now, as I promised, the Turkish bath. You want an authentic experience for your Turkish bath or hammam. You can tell if it's an authentic hammam because these rooms have a few characteristics. Ceiling domes with holes in the top, and also in the center of the room there will be a large table with faucets all along the wall around it. This one is the Kelebek hammam, and it is the best and most authentic one in the Cappadocia area. The rooms I described are called sikaklik, and the structure is important for the amplified sound of splashing water and the circulation of pleasant aromas in the air. I highly recommend this one. You start off by lying on that center table with a washing of warm water poured across your body, and then a scrub off of all your dead skin. After that, it's time for my favorite part, the bubbles. Yes, the bubbles make a great lubricant for the body wash and massage, but also it is a vitalizing experience to feel all the bubbles popping randomly across your body. It is a very relaxing sensation. In my opinion, you haven't really been to Turkey unless you have had a Turkish bath. And once again, the Kelebek hammam is the best place to experience the Turkish bath. Now, you can really make it a spa experience by having an add-on massage and a sauna with the bath, but those are add-ons to what is the essential Turkish bath experience. So it was off to do more shopping and picture taking at Gallery Ikman. So this is an ornate carpet store in the middle of Cappadocia. This store has stacks and stacks of thousands of carpets covering every inch of the place. People generally like to buy carpets while in Turkey because carpets are part of the lifestyle here, and thus there is such a selection of carpets in Turkey. But Gallery Ikman just takes the cake when it comes to carpet selection. What is interesting is that eventually people noticed how pretty the atrium at this carpet store was, being draped with carpets all around you, and then that great lighting of the atrium. So eventually it became another spot for beautiful photo shoots. Now, the owner is really friendly, but at the same time, he would get really annoyed when people would come and try and sneak pictures without booking an appointment. So make sure you stop by and make an appointment for pictures as soon as you get into Cappadocia. It truly is breathtaking to see how adorned the setup is in the atrium at Gallery Ikmit. Make sure you stop by, especially if you're going to buy a carpet in Turkey. Now, as we hinted at earlier, some civilizations built entire cities underground in the hardened volcanic rock. This is Kaymakli, which is one of those cities in the area. There's another called Derinkuyu as well. The two underground cities are connected by man-made tunnels, but you can only visit one or the other at a time. I preferred visiting Kaymakli, mostly because I was with my baby, and this one wasn't nearly as steep as Derinkuyu. Though the hallways of Kaymakli are more constricted, but to me that made it much more of a fun experience. These locations were started in the 8th or 7th century BC, and over time, through the centuries, they were added to. But also, the function of them changed throughout all the years as well. For example, even as late as the 14th century, the underground tunnels were used by Christians as protection from Mongolian incursions. Then at other times, the tunnels were used for storing livestock. But they are really cool as the caves make this multi-leveled labyrinth of rooms and hallways. Don't worry, there are arrows pointing you along the way so you will not get lost. But you travel along the underground path and come across their rooms, their wineries, churches, graveyards, and many other interesting areas. I love the underground city. I wish it were available for a big game of hide and seek, and more than that, just to experience the unique architecture. You may think that looks claustrophobic and the halls are really constricted, but don't worry, they're not too long, and at least they give you little natural places to sit down. This is yet one more place that will blow you away. The next morning, we went up in the hot air balloons, as opposed to just watching them from the ground as we did the day before. It is such a great experience as all the balloons around you start taking off, and before you know it, you are in the air with all of them as well. Now, I picked this specific company because they had an option to go up in the hot air balloon for a longer time than the other hot air balloons. And I wanted the option of an extra 30 minutes. And trust me, it was so worth it. The time goes by so fast anyway, so you might as well get as much time as you can out of the experience. What is awesome about this activity is for once, you want more tourists doing the hot air balloons because it makes it that much more magical. And the more hot air balloons, the better the experience. Turkey is one of the most amazing places you can visit because of places like this. So if you haven't already done so, at the end of this video, watch my complete Turkey travel guide video for the best things to do while in Turkey. I will link to that video in a playlist at the end of this video, as well as many other travel videos. Now, the landscape from above the valley is amazing, which once again is why this spectacular even exists. So I recommend going and taking it all in, the crisp morning air, the beautiful rock formations, and passing above and through the valleys. Eventually, you get to see the sunrise from the hot air balloon over the mountains, and the view is like none other. It just feels so free. It's hard to explain. But if you are only mildly afraid of heights, I actually still recommend this. It feels really safe, and the takeoff is so subtle that it may not even bother you at all because you'll be in the air before you know it. At one point, we even saw wild horses in one of the valleys we dipped into. Really, it's no wonder this is so popular. It is one of those things where pictures and video just don't do it justice. And alone, this will make your trip to Turkey worth it. And you get a medallion for your bravery. Walking around Cappadocia itself is just so great. It's one of those places that just being there is a treat because it is all so new and scenic at every turn. I mean, even if you came here and did nothing but live life, it would still be a great trip. We don't get to experience a society where everything is actually built into the landscape. I mean, everything from the businesses to the art and the hotels themselves are all built into the rock formations. I mean, how cool is it just to stay in a cave hotel? Now for the best of all the cave hotels, which was the one we stayed in. Like I said, from its rooftop, it has the best vantage point of all the balloons that take off. The premises are stunning and the hotel hosts are great too. Every morning their complimentary breakfast was the best assortment. Now while I think you really can't go wrong with most cave hotels, the rooms are so beautiful here and the rooftop is just the best, and it has all of today's luxuries while staying in a cave. And another thing about our room, the King Suite even had its own balcony to look off of. On my travels, I've stayed in tree houses, huts, bubble hotels, grass-roofed huts, and this is at the top with all of the coolest places I have ever been to, which is probably why Lost LeBlanc, another YouTube traveler, was staying at the hotel at the same time as me. I mean, you can even watch the balloons from your bed if you so desire. So make sure you subscribe to my channel as I find all the best places to stay, things to do, and ways to experience them wherever we go. And stay up to date by joining my Instagram as well. Also, don't forget to do a few hikes while you're in Cappadocia. The best is to just wander around and find a spot to hike and watch the sunset on your own. When we were hiking around, that is when we noticed some people actually still live in these caves, and they seemed abandoned at first sight. I'm sure there are even better hiking spots than the ones we found as well. We were slightly limited with the baby on what hills we can hike up, but I imagine some of these have amazing views of the sunset. If you love travel, make sure you subscribe. If you want to see more of the footage of the individual activities we did from most of the places I went in Turkey, I will put them in a playlist at the end of this video. And then also I will put in another playlist all of our trips, including Iceland, Jamaica, Ireland, Thailand, and more. Speaking of wandering, if you watch my travel tips video, you know why I think it is important to drive and rent a car in almost every country you travel to. It is so fun and you really get to see the countryside. But also you can venture off to explore little places on your own. We found this amazing chocolate restaurant at a nearby mall. I think it's even a chain restaurant that is unique to Turkey. At least their Instagram makes it seem that way. So if you want to visit this mall and visit Choco Labs, I highly recommend it. Just a warning, the further away you go from the main travel spots, the less they understand English. But to me, it makes the experience that much more enthralling and unforgettable. I want you to have the best travel experiences like mine. So like, subscribe, and watch some of my other Turkey videos now.